So while many dark beers have common names like porters or stouts that we know and recognize, sometimes you just call a beer black. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Chewing the Brew. I am Matthew, and today we'll be drinking 10Barrel Brewing Company's Sinistor Black, or Sinistor Black. I didn't actually look up to see what Sinistor meant, if it was simply a unique spelling of sinister, or if it's a word on its own. Anyways, this is a black ale. Why don't they call it a porter? Why don't they call it a stout? I don't know. I'm guessing because it doesn't fit the broad criteria of those, or the narrow criteria, such as it is. Instead, I'm guessing it is an ale that is a warm, fermented beer made using much darker malts than others, than light-colored ones, right? It's not a pale ale, obviously. It is a black ale. Around this time of year with the weather changing, it's actually rainy this weekend. We're expecting an atmospheric river here in the Northwest, our first of the season. We had several of them last year. Dark beers are where it's at. They're a good thing. I like them a lot. Even apart from the specific details of what makes a stout or a porter, just the inclusion of or the use of a darker grain in the malt produces typically a roasted character to the beer, which is particularly nice this time of year. I actually have a wood stove going right now off to my personal left, probably your right. Yeah, your right. And so the roasty flavors of a roasty beer would be quite appreciated. To the nose, slight hints of dark brown sugar, burned wood, like you charred a log, but it's not burned all the way through. So some sweetness, some dryness, some woodiness. Possibly a hint of smokiness, but not too much. I'm not picking up a lot of the brightness of any particular hop. I mean, no doubt the hops are contributing to the aroma because they always do, but I'm not picking up greenness or verdance or even really any herbal character. With the darkness of this beer, I think it stands a little bit unique compared to, like, it's not bringing the chocolate or the nuts or the the direct smokiness that you might expect from a porter or a stout. It's more woody and sweet, which is interesting. What are some darker herbs? It's reminding me of something, but I can't put a word to the idea. Maybe a little bit of black pepper, like whole black peppercorns. They have this oil to them that has a no, it's not black pepper. That's gonna bug me. But I think that the most dominant characteristics to the aroma are charred wood and like dark brown sugar. It's nicely sweet, actually. Which I suppose, considering the brown sugar, that works. It's in line there. There's a little bit of a cocoa character to it, but it's not thick. It's present, but it's more of a hint of it rather than a chocolate bar or hot cocoa. Yeah, there's definitely a toasty character to it. It could be smoky, but I think once again it's more toasted, charred flavors rather than smoke flavors. Yeah. Almost halfway between molasses and brown sugar, but it's not super thick. It's a relatively light beer. There's these darker flavors in it, but they aren't like thick. They're not heavy. They're part of still a generally juicy beer that really makes it a really easy drinker for wintertime, for cooler weather. I'm really enjoying it, actually. If you're a fan of, I think, what's being called nowadays Cascadian Dark Ales, which is the otherwise previously called India Dark Ale, or I think I've called them IDAs, India Dark Ales, or Black IPAs. It's kind of in the same vein, just without the hoppiness. It's not even a moderate hoppiness. This is very low hop beer. And so it has just that roasty, sweet kind of backbone flavor without wanting to be anything shouty or spectacular. It's a really good, easy, middle of the road, easy drinker. Let's line them up that way so I end with the word thing at the end of the line of words. Possibly a little bit of beet character almost to the molasses darkness. Like there is a vegetable or fruity vegetable, earthy vegetable-y flavor to the sweetness, which I think beets might have, being that they're a sweet root vegetable in the ground. Darker than carrot, not quite so dark as something darker than beets. There is a lot going on in this beer, I think, considering the fact that it is a relatively easy drinker, or easy drinking dark beer. And I like that about it. It has enough complexity that it's worth drinking on its own, but it also works really well with any foods. I'm also going to try something a little bit new here, based on feedback from a good friend last week. I'm going to try and rate this. And I think the rating criteria I'm going to use are beers that aren't worth having. That'll be 0 stars. 1 star would be, it's an okay beer. It's fine. There's nothing particularly wrong with it, but don't go out of your way to get it, right? 2 stars would be, if you see this on the shelf, it's worth buying. And 3 stars would be, it's worth going out of your way to find this beer, right? So in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to say Sinistor Black is a 2-star beer. 2 stars. 2 stars for Sinistor Black. If you see it on the shelf, it's worth buying. Why? Because it has this nice, drinkable, but still dark character that mixes well, that plays well with other flavors, and also that is enough to stand up on its own. If you're not a fan of hops, it's going to be a good beer for you. It has that darkness without having the bitterness of a pale ale, even, let alone an IPA. It's a good beer for that, and I'm going to leave it at that. This is me, Matthew. I have been drinking and definitely enjoying Sinistor Black by 10Barrel Brewing. That one. I'll catch y'all on the flip side.